Hello everyone. This time I am here to present you the most difficult and confusing topic, that is mechanism of cell injury, in a very entertaining way. Are you ready to learn? You can go through the lecture and solve MCQs in the end and give your answers in the comment box. Coming to various cellular injury mechanisms, there are 6 mechanisms. First is ATP depletion. In this, because of ATP depletion, there is reduction in cellular energy production leading to cellular dysfunction. Second one is mitochondrial damage. Various causes of mitochondrial damage causes impairment of cellular powerhouse affecting energy supply. Third one is calcium homeostasis loss. Because of this, there is disruption of calcium balance causing cellular instability. Fourth one is membrane permeability defects. Because of defects in the membrane permeability, there is loss of integrity of the cell membrane leading to leakage of enzymes. Fifth one is DNA damage. Because of DNA damage, there is genetic material impairment affecting cellular function and replication. And last one is oxidative stress. What is oxidative stress? It is imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants causing cell injury. First and important mechanism of cell injury is ATP depletion. So normally with ATP depletion, what happens is there is decreased sodium potassium ATPase activity. I will tell you about this in detail in the next slide. The second thing happening because of ATP depletion is shift of cellular metabolism from aerobic glycolysis to anaerobic glycolysis. In anaerobic glycolysis, what is the substrate for anaerobic glycolysis is it is glycogen. So what happens to the glycogen level when there is increased anaerobic glycolysis? The glycogen stores will be decreased. And the ultimate product being formed in anaerobic glycolysis is lactic acid. So here there is increased lactic acid levels, because of which there is lactic acidosis, and as there is lactic acidosis, there is decreased pH, that is acidosis, resulting in clumping of nuclear chromatin. And the third mechanism occurring because of ATP depletion is detachment of ribosomes from the rough endoplasmic reticulum, because of which there is decreased protein synthesis. These ribosomes are involved in protein synthesis. So there is decreased protein synthesis. The first effect of ATP depletion is decreased sodium potassium ATPase activity. What is its function exactly? This sodium potassium ATPase helps in the exit of sodium out of the cell along with the water and entry of potassium into the cell in the presence of ATP. So now what is happening? There is ATP depletion. So with ATP depletion, now what happens? There is decreased sodium potassium ATPase activity, and because of which the potassium cannot enter into the cell and sodium and water cannot go out of the cell. So there is no exit of sodium and water out of the cell, and there is retention of water and sodium within a cell, and because of this retention of water, there is cell swelling. So here you can see there is cell swelling and membrane forms into blebs. So there is cytoplasmic swelling, blebs formation and loss of microvilli, which are the features of reversible form of cell injury. The second mechanism in case of cell injury is mitochondrial damage. There are various factors like hypoxia, infections and radiation which can cause damage to the mitochondria. When all these factors act on the mitochondria, what happens is there is opening of mitochondrial permeability ports, because of which there is leakage of ATP, resulting in progressive depletion of ATP, and this ATP depletion finally leads to necrosis. Apart from this, the same mitochondrial damage can cause abnormal oxidative phosphorylation, which results in increased reactive oxygen species. This reactive oxygen species can also cause necrosis. When there is DNA damage or lack of self-sufficient signals, what happens is there is leakage of pro-apoptotic proteins, that is BAX, BAC and cytochrome C, because of increased mitochondrial permeability, and because of this there is intrinsic pathway activation causing apoptosis. The third mechanism is increased cytosolic calcium. Normally, intracellular calcium levels are very low because when it is high, the enzymes will be always in the activated state. To prevent this, the cytosolic calcium will be in low levels. And the main stores of intracellular calcium are present in endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondria. Generally, with ischemia and reperfusion injury, what happens is there is increased intracellular or cytosolic calcium levels. With this, what happens? There is increased enzyme activity like phospholipases, proteases. These phospholipases and proteases cause destruction of the phospholipid membrane and cytoskeleton, causing damage to the membrane. So here you can see the membrane damage. And the third enzyme getting activated here is endonucleases, which causes destruction of the DNA. And ATPases are also activated, causing destruction of ATP. And the second thing happening in cytosolic calcium level increase is mitochondrial dysfunction, because of which there is decreased ATP and increased reactive oxygen species. The third one, because of increased cytosolic calcium levels, is cytoskeletal disruption. Why is this occurring? Because of damage to the cytoskeleton by proteases. Because of this cytoskeletal damage, it affects cell shape and transport. And there is membrane damage because of increased cytosolic calcium resulting by phospholipases and pore formation. All these ultimately leads to cell death. Fourth mechanism is membrane damage. Membrane is made up of phospholipids. So when there is increased destruction of phospholipids or decreased synthesis of phospholipids, there is membrane damage. So here you can see there is decreased phospholipid synthesis causing membrane damage, and here it is increased breakdown of phospholipids by phospholipases. So while telling increased intracellular calcium levels, I told you that phospholipases will get activated with increased cytosolic calcium, thus causing breakdown of phospholipids, causing membrane damage. Other mechanism by which membrane is damaged is because of reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species causes lipid peroxidation of membranes, thus causing membrane damage. The fourth mechanism is cytoskeletal disruption by proteases, which are released because of increased intracellular calcium. So here you can see the increased intracellular calcium causing destruction of the cytoskeleton by proteases. What are the various effects of membrane damage? Membrane damage effects can be because of plasma membrane, mitochondrial and lysosomal membranes. Because of plasma membrane damage, there is influx of calcium and water into the cell. And because of this, there is leakage of enzymes out into the cell, and this can be used as in the diagnosis of myocardial infarction. In myocardial infarction, what happens is because of membrane damage, there is leakage of various enzymes like creatinine kinase, which leads to elevated serum creatinine kinase, and this can be used as a marker in the diagnosis of myocardial infarction. Because of mitochondrial membrane damage, there is opening of mitochondrial permeability transition pores leading to decreased ATP, which I told you in the mitochondrial damage, and also there is release of pro-apoptotic proteins like BACS, BAC and cytochrome C, which results in intrinsic pathway activation leading to apoptosis. Because of lysosomal membrane damage, there is release of various hydrolytic enzymes out into the cell. Fifth mechanism is DNA damage. What are the various causes of DNA damage? Radiation, chemotherapeutic or anti-cancer drugs can cause DNA damage. So once when there is DNA damage, what happens is it activates sensors that trigger p53 dependent pathways. So once p53 is activated, what happens? It arrests the cell which has undergone DNA damage in G1 phase, and it also activates DNA repair mechanisms. So it gives sufficient time for the cell to repair itself. So if the cell is going to repair, well and good. So now the p53 promotes the cell into cell division after getting repaired. But if the cell is not repaired, so what happens? The same p53, it initiates apoptosis by intrinsic pathway. So now apoptosis occurs and the DNA damaged cell finally undergoes cell death by apoptosis. These are the questions framed from the lecture. I request you to answer them in the comment box. There is sixth mechanism of cell injury, that is oxidative stress, which is because of imbalance between reactive oxygen species and antioxidants. But as the video is becoming lengthy, I'll be telling about this reactive oxygen species topic in the upcoming video. So stay tuned with my channel Dr. Shravani's Med Concepts for more videos, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.